When it comes to making money with real estate, one of the biggest questions I get asked is, how fast can you flip a house? We're gonna cover it on today's video. All right, welcome back guys. Jerry Norton here, and welcome to another episode of Real Estate Freedom, where we learn all about ways that you can gain financial freedom, time freedom, so that you can have, be, do, and give all of the things that really matter in life. And that's what this channel is all about. That's what I'm dedicated to doing, helping you achieve that kind of freedom to live your dream life. And we're gonna be talking about how fast can you flip a house? How fast can you flip a house? It's a question that gets asked all the time. And because look, really, when it comes to flipping, it's like, okay, where's the money? How quickly can I make some money? And so let's talk about it here. Well, first of all, there are two ways that we can flip a house. We can do a fix and flip, or we can do a wholesale or a quick flip where we assign out our contract. Let's take a minute on this video and talk about both of them. And what I want to do on the whiteboard here is I want to kind of map out a timeline for you, okay? So let's take a look here, and I'll use the marker here. And let's say that this is our timeline of doing a deal. And let's say that, right here is where we see the money. Okay, right there is where we see the money. So let's take fix and flip first. So if we go with fix and flip, then let's look at our timeline here, okay? So, well, first of all, let's think about the steps. What do you got to do? Well, first you have to go out there and you have to find a deal. So whatever time that takes to talk to motivated sellers, do some marketing, do your lead generation. But let's say that you find this deal, and at that point in time, right here is when you execute a contract. I know that's small, hopefully you can see that, but you execute a contract with the seller. So you have that contract. Well, on that contract, it's gonna say on there how far out is the closing, the actual purchase of that transaction. And in most real estate transactions, it's very common to be 30 days. 30 days. Now, that 30 days, it's not set in stone. It's not always 30 days. It's just kind of normal. It could be 20 days. It could be 10 days. It could be 3 days. It could be however quickly you and the seller want to close that transaction. Okay, so one of the benefits of being an investor is being able to close quickly. So sometimes you can, if you've got funding in place on a fix and flip, if you already got your funding in place, then you can close very quickly. You can tell a seller, I can close in 7 days or 5 days or 10 days or whatever. If you need to go get funding for your fix and flip, then I recommend putting 30 days on your contract. That gives you plenty of time to go secure outside funding, to then be ready for your closing. So let's just say that it's a 30-day closing. Okay, so let's say that 30 days, let's put 30 days right here. So right here, this is 30 days out. Let me fix this and put 30 days right there. Okay, so we got 30 days right there. And then this is the closing. Okay, now remember, we're talking fix and flip. So 30 days, you got the contract, 30 days later, you close. And let's say that you've got your funding in place, you come in, that money comes in, you purchase, you go to that closing transaction with a title or escrow company, fund your deal, you now own the property. Well, immediately when you buy a fix and flip property, the very next minute, the dumpster rolls up and you start your rehab, right? You don't want to waste any time here. And let's say that this is a typical, let's just say it's a 60-day rehab. Now, your rehab could be 2 weeks, it could be 30 days, it could be 45 days, it could be 90 days. Some of my rehabs I do where I completely redesign the house on high-end homes, that might be 4, 5, 6 months of a rehab because it's so extensive. But let's just say in a typical, you're gonna go in and you're gonna do carpet and paint, maybe some flooring and maybe some cabinets and new countertops, whatever. And it's a typical average type of flip. So 60 days to get all that work done. And so let's put down here 60 days, let's put that right here. So this is the rehab is happening for 60 days. So far, from the minute you have got the contract with the seller, 30 days later closing, 60 days later you're done with the rehab. So that's 90 days in from day of contract. And then let's say that you put the property up for sale and let's say it takes 30 days of marketing for sale to get a buyer. Now you could get a buyer on day one, it could sit on the market for 2 months, but let's just be realistic here and say that it took 30 days on the market for sale to get an offer that you accepted. Okay, well that's just the offer, right? 30 days to get your buyer under contract. And then another 30 days, maybe 45 days, let's just go 30, to close on the sale of that transaction. So 30 days, because it takes about 30 days for that buyer to get their financing and do their inspection and all their things that they need to do. So another 30 days to get to the closing right here. And at the closing, this is when you're gonna pay back the money you borrowed to buy the house and fix it up, and whatever you sold it for, less all your cost, is your net profit. So this is the big day right here on the closing. This is the big day. So let's add up our time frame here. We got 30 days from contract to closing. Some people count from closing, but really you want to know if you start right now today and you're over here somewhere, how long is it going to take you to, how fast can you flip a house? Well, if you get a contract right now today and you're doing a fix and flip, 30 days to close, 60 days to rehab, that's 90 days. Another 30 days is 120 days. Another 30 days is 150 days. So on an average fix and flip, you're looking at about 150 days out. Now again, let's say that this was a 5-day closing, and let's say that it was a 7-day rehab. You're just gonna go in there and do some paint and some carpet, clean it up a little bit. You get that knocked out in 7 days, and then you get a buyer in the first week on the market, and then that buyer is cash and they can close in 10 days. Potentially, you could get this whole thing done, in 30, 45 days, potentially, possibly. But that's kind of far and few in between. That's not really realistic. That's not normally how the business goes. Typically, you're looking at, anywhere from 120, 150, maybe 190 days, 180 days, end to end for a fix and flip. Okay, does that make sense? Does that give you kind of an idea? Now, the goal here is to build a pipeline, right? And I talk more about this, and I'll cover this more in other videos. A pipeline means that you've got multiple deals in multiple phases. That way you're always having these big paydays and you're getting those checks all the time. Nothing's worse in this business than, going through this 150 days, you get a deal, you make some money. Let's say you make $35,000 on this flip, right? That'd be exciting, wouldn't it? But then you got to start all the way back over here and start looking for another deal and go through this process again. Following that kind of onesie twosie method that most investors do, you're only going to be able to do a couple deals in a year. Okay. And so that's probably not going to hit the goals that you have. Maybe it is, but it doesn't for me. I want to have multiple deals going on all the time. So I got to be thinking about all the aspects. I got to have deals under contract, deals that are being fixed up, and deals that are up for sale being marketed to sell. That way I continually have deals that are funding and closing, and I'm getting these big paychecks. Okay. Now let's take a second here and talk about wholesaling. So wholesaling, if you look at our timeline here, well, we're not doing any of this. We're not doing any of this, right? We're getting rid of all of this. Our window for wholesaling is right here. It's the 30-day window, because at the closing, this is when the actual buyer that you wholesaled your deal to, it's when they step in, they fund it, they purchase it, they start the rehab, and you get your finder fee right here. So let's say that this is, my marker's dying. Let's say that this is, let's say that this is a $5,000 wholesale fee right here. Then you would be waiting 30 days from when you got the contract to when the closing happens. With wholesaling, you don't get paid out until the closing. So if the closing's in 5 days, you get paid in 5 days. If it's 10 days, you get paid in 10 days. In this example of 30 days, you'd have to wait 30 days. At the closing, you get your $5,000 check. You don't have to wait for all of this to get the big money. You get a little piece of it right up front. And that's the beauty of wholesaling. Get paid now, get a little bit now for less work, or you can get a lot more later for more work. Which would you choose? Okay, well, that's what you have to decide. So this is, hope this is helpful. How fast can you flip a house? Depends if you're wholesaling it, anywhere from a couple days to 30 days usually. If you're fix and flipping it, typically you're looking at about 150 days, maybe less, maybe more, but that gives you an idea. All right, so I hope you found this helpful. Look, to make it easier for you, here's what I wanna do. I wanna actually pay you to find deals for me, right? That's wholesaling, isn't it? I'm a cash buyer, I'll be your cash buyer. I buy deals in all 50 states, so I don't care where you live, as long as the deal meets my criteria. Now here's what I'm doing. I'm holding a web class where you can learn all about that criteria, exactly the kinds of deals I'm looking for. I even give you training and software and tools to make it easy for you to go out and find deals and bring them to me. I need more deals that I can fix and flip and do all this part of it because I have systems in place. I have capital to fund these deals. I just need people to find me deals. I'll pay you $10,000 for every deal you find and bring me. So click on the link below in the description. Click on that link. It will take you to a registration where you can get on that web training class and you can learn how to do this and get paid $10,000 for every deal you find me. Super excited about it. Hope you come on board and be a finder and get paid $10,000. You can do as many as you want, so it's really cool. And I'll see you on the webinar, and thanks again for watching this video.